truth is buried under layers of silence, for security reasons, therefore insecurity. We are broadcasting from an undisclosed location. This is Akashic Echoes, a curiosity-fueled dive into the strange, the hidden, and the, wait, what? Corners of human history, where Alex asks the questions others won't. Dr. X opens doors you didn't know existed, and Titus keeps things just grounded enough to follow the thread. It's part investigation, part storytelling, and part late night. What if everything we know is slightly off? We're not here to hand you truth, wrapped in certainty, only to spark thought, entertain the mind, and maybe raise an eyebrow or two. So tune in, enjoy the ride, and remember, take everything with a grain of salt, preferably the size of a small asteroid.
Tonight, we go back to 1947, to a desert in New Mexico, where something fell from the sky, and the story that followed never quite landed. So here's the question. Did something non-human crash at Roswell, or was the truth grounded before it ever had a chance to take flight? Dr. X, let's start at the beginning. What actually happened at Roswell?
Officially, a weather balloon. Briefly, a flying disc. And that contradiction is where the story begins, Alex.
Because the U.S. Army initially announced they had recovered a flying disc, then quickly walked it back.
Yes, and not quietly, publicly, which is unusual. You don't accidentally tell the world you've recovered something extraordinary unless someone believed it was true.
So either it was something unusual, or there was confusion at a very high level, Dr. X.
Or multiple layers of truth being managed in real time.
Let's talk about the debris. Witnesses described strange materials, lightweight, metallic, resistant to damage. That doesn't exactly sound like a standard balloon, Dr. X.
It doesn't, Alex. But it also doesn't automatically mean extraterrestrial. What matters is this. The materials didn't behave in ways people expected, and that created a gap between explanation and experience.
And gaps like that tend to get filled with speculation.
Or sealed with secrecy, Alex. Let's see what Titus has to add.
For context, Alex and Dr. X, later explanations linked Roswell to Project Mogul, a classified U.S. program using high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. That would explain both unusual materials and the initial secrecy.
So one possibility is not aliens, but a classified surveillance project, Dr. X.
Yes, but here's where it becomes interesting. Project Mogul explains some elements. Not all witness accounts align cleanly with that explanation, Alex.
Including reports of bodies, Doc X?
Yes, Alex, though those accounts surfaced years later, which complicates their reliability.
So we're dealing with three layers here, Dr. X. First, an initial military statement. Second, a revised explanation. And third, decades of evolving testimony.
Exactly. And each layer adds distortion, or revelation, depending on your perspective, Alex.
Let's step back, Doc. Why would a story like Roswell persist for nearly 80 years?
Because it sits at the intersection of two powerful forces, government secrecy and human curiosity. When people sense they're not being told everything, they don't stop asking, Alex. They imagine.
And Doc, sometimes imagination fills in faster than facts can catch up.
Or, Alex, faster than facts are allowed to surface.
Dr. X, do you believe something non-human was involved?
I believe, Alex, Roswell is less about what crashed and more about how information was handled afterward. The real event may have been extraordinary or simply classified. But the reaction, Alex, that rapid shift in narrative, created something bigger than the incident itself.
A ripple effect, Doc.
Exactly. Roswell became a symbol, not just of aliens, but of the possibility that truth, Alex, can be managed.
And that's a key takeaway. Regardless of what actually happened, Roswell highlights how quickly public narratives can change when information is incomplete or controlled.
Thanks, Titus. So maybe the real mystery isn't just what fell from the sky, but why the story changed so fast.
You got it, Alex.
Was Roswell a misunderstood military experiment, a misidentified object, or something genuinely beyond human origin? We may never get a definitive answer, but the questions it raised are still very much alive. Tonight's journey took us back to a quiet stretch of desert in 1947, where something fell from the sky and a story began that has never truly settled. What unfolded at Roswell wasn't just an incident, but a collision of narratives. An initial announcement of a flying disc was quickly replaced with a far more grounded explanation, a weather balloon. Later still, the story evolved again, pointing toward Project Mogul, a classified military operation designed to monitor Soviet nuclear activity. Each version offered answers, yet left questions behind. Witness accounts added another layer, reports of strange, unfamiliar materials, and in some cases, claims that emerged years later, further complicating the picture. Whether these details reflect misinterpretation, fading memory, or something more elusive remains uncertain. But beyond the specifics of debris or origin, a deeper theme emerged. Roswell persists not simply because of what may have crashed, but because of how information was handled in its aftermath. The rapid shift in official narratives created a gap between explanation and experience, between authority and trust. And in that gap, speculation, imagination, and suspicion took root. Roswell has since become more than a historical event. It stands as a symbol of secrecy, of curiosity, and of the uneasy relationship between the public and those who control information. It reminds us that when answers change too quickly or arrive too slowly, questions don't disappear, they multiply. So perhaps the real mystery isn't just what fell from the sky that day, but why the story seemed to change before it ever had time to land. And whether the truth was extraordinary or simply classified, the questions Roswell raised continue to echo nearly 80 years later. Tonight's journey took us back to a quiet stretch of desert in 1947, where something fell from the sky and a story began that has never truly settled.
This has been Akashic Echoes. Stay curious, stay aware, and remember, take everything with a grain of salt, preferably the size of a small asteroid.